5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got liftoff. Vehicle pitching that range.
We finally witnessed the gigantic Starship take off for the 8th time, and it's incredible to see a rocket as large as a 20-story building lift off with ease. But as with anything this ambitious, getting to this point wasn't easy. The launch of Starship Flight 8 went through multiple delays, technical issues, and even a last-minute scrub that almost pushed it back further. Originally, SpaceX planned to launch Flight 8 on March 3, 2025. As the countdown reached the final moments, everything seemed to be progressing smoothly. However, just 40 seconds before liftoff, the launch was abruptly called off. Engineers identified an issue with the Super Heavy booster, specifically related to the methane venting system and pressure stability. SpaceX made the decision to stand down for the day to investigate further, prioritizing safety and mission success over sticking to the schedule. Following this unexpected delay, SpaceX quickly announced a new launch target for March 5th. Engineers worked around the clock to resolve the issue, running additional checks and fine-tuning the systems to ensure a smooth flight. But just hours before the scheduled launch on March 5th, unfavorable upper-level wind conditions forced another delay. High-altitude winds pose a serious risk to rockets during ascent, and rather than take any unnecessary chances, SpaceX postponed the launch again, this time pushing it to March 6th. Finally, on March 6th, the countdown resumed, and this time, everything went as planned. Leading up to the rescheduled launch, SpaceX provided updates on their official X account. In a post, they stated, "Counting down to Starship's 8th flight test. Weather looks favorable at the pad." A few hours before liftoff, SpaceX initiated the complex pre-launch sequence for Starship Flight 8 at Starbase Boca Chica, Texas. At approximately 2 hours before launch, SpaceX began loading propellant into both the Super Heavy booster and the Starship upper stage. The vehicle uses a combination of liquid methane and liquid oxygen as fuel, both of which need to be kept at cryogenic temperatures to maximize performance. The Super Heavy booster, with its 33 Raptor engines, takes the majority of the fuel, while the upper stage Starship receives a smaller portion. This fueling process is delicate. Methane and oxygen must be loaded at precise pressures and temperatures to prevent issues such as cavitation, ice formation, or tank pressurization imbalances. SpaceX has previously faced problems with methane condensation inside fuel lines, so this step was crucial in ensuring everything was stable before ignition. 1 hour before the launch, SpaceX initiated engine chill-down procedures. This involves circulating supercooled liquid methane through the Raptor engines to prevent thermal shock when ignition occurs. Without this step, the engines could suffer damage due to the sudden temperature change from room temperature components coming into contact with cryogenic fluids. With fueling completed, SpaceX ran its final go, no-go poll, a process where engineers and mission control officers confirmed whether all systems were ready for launch. Each system was given a status update, covering propulsion, avionics, flight software, range safety, and weather conditions. At this stage, winds at higher altitudes were still a concern, but meteorologists confirmed they were within acceptable limits. SpaceX officially gave the go for launch. The rocket transitioned into its automated launch sequence at T-10 minutes. At this point, the onboard computers took control of the countdown. The Super Heavy booster began pressurizing its propellant tanks, and the clamps holding the vehicle to the launch mount began to release tension. SpaceX also activated the deluge system, which sprayed thousands of gallons of water onto the launch pad to protect it from the intense heat and acoustic shock that would come from 33 Raptor engines igniting at once. At T-2 minutes, the methane and oxygen tanks were fully pressurized, ensuring a stable flow of fuel into the engines. The launch director announced, "Go for launch," marking the final commitment to proceeding. The Super Heavy booster's 33 Raptor engines entered their staggered ignition sequence, meaning they did not all fire at once but instead ignited in carefully timed intervals to reduce startup stress. And as the clock hit 0, the 33 Raptor engines at the base of the Super Heavy booster roared to life. Starship began its ascent, climbing into the sky with a trail of fire and smoke behind it. The ground shook as the most powerful rocket ever built left the launch pad. 2.5 minutes after launch, the 33 Raptor engines powering the Super Heavy booster completed their planned burn, shutting down sequentially to prepare for stage separation. The moment was crucial. Any misalignment or issue in the separation process could jeopardize the entire mission. As the booster engines cut off, the connection between the two stages was released using SpaceX's hot staging method. A fiery ring of vented gases expanded outward as the upper stage's Raptor vacuum engines roared to life, taking over propulsion responsibilities from the booster. The separation was smooth with no signs of instability, and the upper stage continued its climb toward space, accelerating through the upper atmosphere at several times the speed of sound. Meanwhile, the booster, now detached and falling back toward Earth, quickly transitioned into its next major phase, the return to the launch site. Unlike traditional expendable rockets that fall into the ocean, SpaceX had designed the Super Heavy to be fully reusable, meaning it needed to make a controlled descent to be recovered and used again. Seconds after stage separation at T+2 minutes and 40 seconds, the Super Heavy booster began its flip maneuver, using cold gas thrusters to rotate and orient itself for a controlled return to the launch site. As it moved through the upper atmosphere, its 4 large grid fins deployed, allowing the booster to adjust its descent and maintain a precise trajectory. At around T+4 minutes, the booster began its boost-back burn, a critical maneuver that adjusted its course to ensure it would return directly to the launch tower at Starbase, rather than drifting downrange. This burn also slowed the vehicle down significantly as it prepared for re-entry. By T+5 minutes and 30 seconds, the booster had re-entered the denser parts of the atmosphere. The grid fins actively adjusted their angles to counteract wind forces and keep the rocket stable. At T+6 minutes and 30 seconds, the booster initiated its final landing burn, igniting 3 of its Raptor engines to further slow its descent. The rocket carefully aligned itself with the towering chopstick arms of the Mechazilla system. Then, at exactly T+6 minutes and 54 seconds, the massive steel arms of the launch tower swiftly closed around the booster, securing it in place midair. The engines shut down completely, and the booster came to a stop without ever touching the ground. Within moments, the arms gently lowered the booster onto its mount. Meanwhile, after stage separation, the upper stage Starship continued its ascent. But just like in Flight 7, things went wrong. At T+7 minutes and 39 seconds, one of its Raptor engines shut down, followed by more failures. A propellant leak led to sustained fires in the engine section, causing the vehicle to lose control. With no chance of recovery, the autonomous flight safety system triggered, and Starship exploded midair, scattering debris over the ocean. This failure mirrored Flight 7, where unexpected vibrations stressed the propulsion system, leading to leaks and eventual destruction. That's it for today. Subscribe for more updates on SpaceX and Starship.